McLaren's 2026 car might already be broken, and the season hasn't even started yet. New FIA reports just exposed a flaw so critical, engineers are scrambling behind the scenes and it could put McLaren at the back of the grid. From overheating problems to aero chaos, even Piastri's simulator data is setting off alarms. Is this the beginning of a full-on collapse? We've got the leaked info, the real data, and the inside panic. If you want the truth the teams don't want you to hear, hit that subscribe button right now and let's break it wide open. The FIA's 2026 regulation documents, at first glance, read like a roadmap for innovation, but for McLaren, they've become a glaring spotlight on a fundamental error. The early technical analysis conducted by the FIA has unveiled a critical mismatch between McLaren's current development direction and what the new regulations demand. In a sport where milliseconds make the difference between dominance and failure, McLaren's choices for aerodynamics and power integration may be sending them in the wrong direction fast. One of the central issues lies in the shift toward active aerodynamics. From 2026, F1 cars must rely heavily on real-time aerodynamic adjustments, specifically low drag and high downforce modes that activate dynamically. While this opens new engineering frontiers, it punishes teams that are overcommit to static aero concepts. McLaren's current floor design and rake philosophy, a legacy of their 2023-2025 evolution, has been optimized for downforce stability, not for rapid transformation. This puts them at odds with the demands of the FIA's flexibility-focused framework. The report indicates that teams will now need to fine-tune energy deployment strategies in parallel with aerodynamic response. With the internal combustion engine only contributing 50% of the total output, energy recovery and battery cooling are now central to lap-time performance. And here's where McLaren hits a wall: their ERS cooling systems and battery placement strategies, designed under the previous balance, are now inefficient. Early simulations suggest excessive heat buildup under race conditions, which forces the car into defensive deployment modes. Translation: slower acceleration, poor top speed, and energy cutoffs at critical overtaking zones. Even more concerning is that McLaren is already deep into chassis and systems integration. Multiple sources familiar with the 2026 project have confirmed that structural molds have been laid, and software development for energy mapping is underway. This means they are committed to a concept that the FIA's findings now deem fundamentally flawed. To shift direction would require scrapping major components, rerunning wind tunnel validations, and resetting aerodynamic development, all under tight cost cap limits. The FIA's language doesn't name teams, but the implications are clear to anyone reading between the lines. Their technical guidelines point toward cars with narrow packaging, superior heat dissipation, and flexible downforce profiles, traits that Red Bull and Mercedes are rumored to have locked in already. McLaren, meanwhile, is caught in a philosophy designed for consistency, not adaptability. And with the grid entering its most volatile transition in over a decade, adaptability is everything. Drivers aren't blind to it either. Piastri and Norris have reportedly both provided feedback in simulator sessions that the 2026 prototype feels unpredictable when switching modes, an early red flag for a car that's supposed to offer seamless aero shifts. If the driver confidence drops before the car hits the track, it's not just a development problem, it becomes a psychological disadvantage. And with 2026 offering limited preseason testing due to sustainability constraints, McLaren may not have time to rebuild trust in the package. The FIA didn't target McLaren specifically, but their findings make one thing crystal clear. Teams who committed too early to rigid concepts are now on the back foot. For McLaren, this isn't just a warning. It's an alarm bell. And unless the leadership acts now, this critical weakness could turn a title-contending future into another year of what could have been. Inside McLaren's Woking headquarters, the tone has shifted from ambition to urgency. After a strong 2025 season that reignited belief across the team and fanbase, expectations for 2026 were sky-high. But now, those expectations are colliding with the harsh truth of the FIA's latest report. What was supposed to be McLaren's next big leap could be compromised by a foundational flaw, and the technical leadership knows it. As the engineering floor buzzes with recalculations and emergency modeling sessions, one thing is clear: this isn't just a bump. It's a strategic threat. Team principal Andrea Stella, once praised for leading McLaren through its sharp turnaround, now finds himself walking a tightrope. Engineers close to the 2026 project say that Stella has already ordered a full internal audit of the car's aero systems and thermal simulations. He's not looking for tweaks, he's looking for fundamental mistakes. That kind of directive, especially this deep into development, is rare. It signals something deeper, a growing belief that the current path may be unsalvageable under FIA constraints. CEO Zak Brown is also stepping in, not just as a business leader, but as an enforcer of accountability. With the FIA's technical notes pointing directly at issues McLaren had been warned about as early as mid-2024, Brown is reportedly asking difficult questions. Who ignored the early aerodynamic drift? Why were energy recovery challenges flagged internally but not escalated? And most critically, is it too late to pivot without burning millions and blowing the development budget under the cost cap? Beyond executive pressure, tensions are emerging inside the technical department itself. Some factions believe the team must now ditch the current aero profile altogether and rebase around a cleaner, more modular chassis. Others argue that such a reset would wipe out over 12 months of progress. That division is already slowing response times, creating uncertainty around ownership of key systems. In a sport where precision engineering depends on unified execution, this kind of internal divergence could be devastating. Meanwhile, suppliers and external partners including battery systems consultants and CFD specialists have started asking for revised parameters. That's not standard procedure unless core concepts are being reworked. For McLaren, it's a double hit. Not only does it slow down the process, it sends signals across the F1 ecosystem that something's gone wrong. And in Formula One, perception can be almost as damaging as performance. Once a narrative forms that a team is in trouble, momentum both technical and psychological gets harder to recover. Drivers Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are trying to stay composed, but insiders suggest the mood in recent simulator sessions has grown colder. Piastri in particular is said to have voiced concerns about stability under energy deployment, especially in high-speed mode switches. These aren't the nitpicks of an over-analytical rookie, these are red flags from a driver who understands when a car doesn't trust him back. Norris, who's been loyal through tough years, is reportedly more measured in public, but increasingly assertive behind the scenes. Both know that 2026 is pivotal not just for McLaren but for their own legacies. For a team that prides itself on resilience, this moment is defining. The next few months will force McLaren to choose between doubling down on a concept that's no longer aligned with FIA realities or risking a late pivot that could save their future. There are no easy choices, only high-stakes consequences. But one thing is certain: doing nothing is not an option. In Formula One, regulation changes don't just level the playing field, they expose who's truly ahead. And while McLaren wrestles with internal corrections and technical uncertainty, its fiercest rivals have already moved several steps forward. Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari aren't just adapting to the 2026 rules, they're manipulating them to gain strategic control. This is no longer a hypothetical threat. It's an arms race, and McLaren is already lagging. Red Bull, as always, leads the charge with a clinical understanding of aerodynamic behavior. While McLaren gambled on stability-first aero, Red Bull leaned into flexibility, and it's paying off. Their 2026 development car is reportedly already compliant with the FIA's active aero modes, transitioning smoothly between low-drag and high-downforce configurations in simulation. What's more, early dyno tests show their new hybrid system delivers uninterrupted energy flow under both attack and defense scenarios, exactly what McLaren's current concept struggles to replicate. Ferrari has taken a different path, using its power unit development freedom to its advantage. They've shifted their entire energy recovery strategy around a high-efficiency turboelectric layout that prioritizes reliability under thermal stress, one of the exact issues the FIA flagged in McLaren's 2026 cooling profile. Ferrari is also rumored to be testing a split battery configuration, which offers more aggressive energy delivery with lower heat saturation. In short, they're treating 2026 as a power and packaging revolution, not just an aero update, and that distinction could define the new era. Mercedes, meanwhile, is playing a long game. Their focus isn't raw power, but predictable performance under race conditions. Their simulations emphasize consistency over peak output, and this aligns directly with how the FIA wants energy deployment to evolve. Mercedes engineers have reportedly built a feedback system that adapts throttle input to battery temperature and track gradient in real time. It's not flashy, but it's ruthlessly efficient. And in a world of ERS limits and aero switching zones, it could make their package almost bulletproof. What's more alarming for McLaren is that these teams aren't starting from scratch. They're building on solid foundations, systems already designed with modularity in mind. Red Bull's 2025 RB21 was engineered with future active aero in its architecture. Ferrari's cooling strategy for 2024 already mirrored much of what the FIA would later confirm for 2026. And Mercedes has been developing predictive deployment models since the first whispers of the new hybrid guidelines. This isn't innovation. This is preparation, and McLaren didn't prepare for this version of the future. The consequence is not just technical, it's reputational. Within F1's complex web of suppliers, simulation partners, and talent scouts, the perception of momentum matters. Already, some battery development partners have reportedly shifted more R&D resources to Red Bull powertrains and Ferrari's hybrid unit. For a team like McLaren, which operates on precision partnerships and razor-thin margins, being seen as behind could quietly erode future support even before a wheel turns in 2026. This isn't about who wins the first race of 2026. It's about who controls the direction of the next regulation cycle. Right now, McLaren is in danger of becoming a follower reactive instead of proactive. And in modern Formula One, that is the surest way to lose not just races, but seasons.